I just don't understand why I wouldn't want to work with somebody who I feel left me hanging out to dry, didn't stand up for me, went on to work with the people who you forced me to diss while I got all of the heat. That would leave a bad taste in my mouth. I would not want to work with you no more if I don't have to.
About to make it, blow a bag full of cash, like turn to the side, let me see. Damn, I think we all could agree. You and your friends, I done counted 2 or 3. And you looking even better here with me. We don't need no dinner, you the no boo. Tell me where you're from, girl, is your local? Got a couple dollars we could blow through. Take a couple trips, yeah, I could show you. Jump in my Impala, get the backseat going.
First up, another day, another amended lawsuit. If you was here last week, you know I spoke about a guy named Joseph Manzaro who recently filed a civil lawsuit against Diddy, claiming back in 2015 he was essayed and humiliated at one of these freak-offs. He named Beyonce, Jay Z, LeBron James, Gloria Estefan, a bunch of people in this lawsuit. He went as far as to even have a quote, a literal quote that he alleged Beyonce said when she seen him being humiliated at this party. And I said last week, Jay Z was one of the people who immediately denied the allegations. Now, fast forward to this week, Jay Z's attorney has provided proof that Jay Z and Beyonce wasn't even in town at the time in question. He sent a warning of sorts over to Joseph's attorney about making false allegations. What has happened? Jay Z and Beyonce's name is not included in the lawsuit anymore. So my thing is, you just out here making shit up. Like you was that drugged and that out of it that you was seeing circles, you was seeing faces of people that wasn't even there. If this incident even happened at all, because when things like this happen, that questions for me your entire lawsuit. Like just throw the whole thing out at this point. And these lawyers, I'm guessing they just be so excited to possibly get a payday. They just proceed with filing these lawsuits. No matter how absurd or outrageous the claims may sound, at least provide me proof. If I'm going to be a lawyer and I'm going to represent you, if I'm going to take this case to the judges to try to get this civil lawsuit process, you got to provide me some proof. You can't just be telling me what happened with no sort of proof before I include these names. This is why I feel it's so important that celebrities, anybody who have claims brought against them and they prove otherwise, this is why I say it's important for them to file countersuits. These lawyers, these people who make up these claims need to be held accountable. That's the only way these type of things aren't going to happen. What if you're not Jay Z and Beyonce type of level? What if you don't keep actual records and receipts of things that could prove you wasn't where these people are claiming you have been? And now it's just their word against yours. Like this has to stop. But here we are, the civil lawsuit is still going forward against Diddy. It still features Amelia Estefan, Gloria Estefan, and whoever other names he put in this lawsuit. They're seeking compensatory and unspecified punitive damages. In the lawsuit, it says, in an amount sufficient to punish and deter Combs and others from engaging in similar misconduct in the future. But I'm just like, bruh, you can't even get your story straight. Can we start there? But let's move on. What else aside these blogs? Keri Hilson is back. She's ready to put out new music. She has a new album dropping this week, but it's been a long time coming. It's been 16 years since the Turning Me On remix dropped, where without naming names, people figured she was taking jabs at Beyonce and Ciara. And ever since then, there's been this dark cloud. It may have been a swarm of bees that has been hovering over Keri. Some say she was blackballed, which Keri denies, but she has taken a step back from music for several years. And she's finally breaking her silence on that infamous diss track. Keri Hilson says she didn't even write the lyrics. Keri Hilson says she was essentially forced to sing these lyrics by her producer, manager, label, whatever it was at the time. Polo the Don was the producer, and she basically said that he was on some, either you're gonna sing this or your album isn't gonna come out, is what Keri said. So it was on some eat the cake anime. Nah. But Keri Hilson basically says she reluctantly sung this remix. I'm not sure how that works. As an artist myself, if somebody were to try to force me to say some lyrics that I wasn't feeling, I'm not sure I would be able to perform in the booth. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to sell it. But Keri sold it. And Keri is a writer. So seeing that Keri is a writer, no one would question that these lyrics aren't coming from her. But I'm happy she's finally speaking out on the matter and telling her truth. She said what Polo did. And even with that, she didn't reveal who the songwriter was. She just said that it was a songwriter who wasn't known at the time, who went on to become famous and work with these very people who she dissed in these lyrics. And seeing that interview with Keri said that, I'm like, nah, you got to throw the writer under the bus too. Like, you already saying what Polo did. Come on, get it all out. Throw her under the bus too. These people ain't do nothing for you all these years. Turns out it was the singer Ester Dean, and she basically outed herself. A bunch of people were in the comment section trying to figure out who it was, naming a bunch of names. Who was the songwriters around this time? Who was hot? Who was doing things? One person mentioned Ester Dean, and Ester Dean responded to her and said, yes, it was me. And what? Essentially, that's what she said. Ester Dean went on to elaborate. She said, I submitted a lot of verses for that remix. One got picked, and it was co-written with Keri. Looking back, it was childish and didn't age well. I see how it hurt people, especially women, and I take full accountability. She said, I've worked with and supported many women since, but that doesn't erase the moment. I'm sorry for my part in it. Growth is real, and so is this apology. Nice enough, right? Keri didn't like the fact that she wrote co-written in that. So Keri responded. Keri said, Dean, I personally don't think this is our fight to have. I respected you on this matter for 16 years and attempted to do that again yesterday while finally expressing the truth when asked. But since you're coming to the table, let's be clear. You've used the word co-wrote. She said, I rewrote 3 lines in your verse, which was the only battle I won in the whole matter. But you weren't there when all of this was going down, and we didn't write it together. And Keri went on to say exactly what lines she wrote in it, because Keri wanted to stay on topic for what the song was about. If you remember Turning Me On, it was a big song. It was about a guy-girl type of situation. So Keri wanted to stay on track, but the producer wanted her to shake the tree. You know what I mean? Like, you're a new artist. You got to ruffle some feathers. Maybe it'll, there's no such thing as bad press. I don't know what the mindset was, but he wanted her to take some shots at who's the hottest right now and take some shots at them. Since then, Ester Dean has came back out with an open letter confirming basically what Keri said. And she said, for Keri, for creatives, for the record, she said, I've stayed quiet for a long time, but I believe in telling the truth, especially when the internet starts telling its own version of the story. Regarding the remix, she said, one night Polo asked me to write a remix verse for Keri Hilson, something street, something for the culture. He left the room and I sat there trying different ideas until I landed on these lines. And she said the line she said, tacky, yes. Forced, no, that was me. She said, I wasn't in the room with Keri writing this together. I didn't know her personally. She was already a star. I was just a writer trying to earn my place. I did my job and left. Keri came in another time and wrote her own verse. So that proves what Keri was saying is true, that she wasn't in the room with Ester. And I guess Ester felt because Keri changed those lines that meant co-wrote. But co-wrote, I guess, is in Keri's eyes, like actually sitting there and throwing ideas back and forth and actually co-writing. But that's not what happened. She essentially rewrote some lines. But Ester pointed out that she went on to write on both of Keri's albums. She even showed love and did a cameo in my Drop It Low video. I even came on stage with her once, but life took us in different directions like it often does. She said, for the record, I didn't work with Beyonce until years later when I was signed to Roc Nation as a writer. She said, there was no plot, no beef squad, no secret industry mission, just writers writing, artists being artists, people trying to win. She said, why speak now? She said, because while our stories may look similar now, back then they weren't. Keri was speaking on big platforms I didn't have access to, and it was her story to tell, not mine. I stayed writing, no hate, no shade, just truth. She said, what Keri went through was sad. She's a great artist, a beautiful spirit, and she deserves grace. She took her lessons. I'll take mine. Respect always, Ester Dean. That's what's up. And that right there should clear the air for anybody wondering exactly how it went down, Keri was basically telling the truth. I still don't understand the singing something that you didn't write and you don't want to sing aspect. I know it happens in the industry. I know sometimes some artists disagree with songs because they may not relate to it. They may not feel as a hit. And the producers may feel like, nah, this is the one. I think it happened with a lot of the greats. But you went on to work with these people later. In my eyes, if you are forcing me to do something that I don't want to do and holding my career over my head with it, saying my album won't come out unless I sing this, after that is done, we're done. I don't want to work with you no more. Now, if this was like a contractual obligation and you were like, just riding out the contract, you had to do what you had to do, and while you continue to work with these people for your next 2 albums, cool. I get it. But Keri Hilson said that Paula the Dawn has songs on her new album that's dropping this week. I just don't understand why I wouldn't want to work with somebody who I feel left me hanging out to dry, didn't stand up for me, went on to work with the people who you forced me to diss while I got all of the heat. That would leave a bad taste in my mouth. I would not want to work with you no more if I don't have to. So that part I won't understand, but hey, that's her business. That's what she's deciding to do. She says that she just knows how to keep him at a certain distance. She won't let him force her to do anything no more, that sort of thing. I guess you're a bigger person than me, Keri, because me personally, I don't know if it's the Leo in me or what, but it's like, wrap this up. But that's just me. Fast shouts to you though, Keri Hilson. Her new song is called Bay. It's actually pretty dope. Check it out. And her new album drops this week. It's called We Need to Talk. And we're talking. And that right there is going to conclude what's hot in the blogs for this week. Thank you for watching. If you rock with your boy, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, it's called Holliewood and Friends, which means I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the topics I just discussed. I appreciate you. New episodes every Monday night. Until next time, deuces.